Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. You're watching this special with BQ Prime, and my guest today is from Mahanagar Gas, Mr. Ashu Shinghal. He's the managing director at Mahanagar Gas Limited. Mr. Shinghal, thank you very much for joining us on BQ Prime. Uh, a good set of numbers coming in first quarter. It's a very good number of EBITDA and profit, mainly on the back of cost control that has come in because of the price caps which have come in. My first question to you, sir, is this growth sustainable in the sense that you had an EBITDA per SCM of nearly 16.8 in Q1? Can you sustain that for the entire year?
Good morning, Sachit, and good morning, everybody. I mean, these numbers are actually not very sustainable because we don't want to operate on the margins which are on a very high side. Typically, if you see last 7 to 8 years or 5 to 7 years, we have been operating in the range of EBITDA per SCM of 8 to 10 rupees per SCM. Maybe it has gone up to 11 or 11 and a half in 1 year. So we will do take some action. One, that the volume growth is on our target. So we will see if we can increase the volumes by launching some schemes, as well as see that if required, the price cuts will be done at the appropriate time.
Sir, because the prices are capped for 2 years, and we saw Q4 EBITDA per SCM of nearly rupees 12.8, now 16.8. What is the kind of correction that you might take? Because if I look at the volumes grew only by 2.3%, or if I'm not wrong. What would be the normalized EBITDA per SCM that you would like to have on an annualized basis?
See, I mean, currently it is 16, as you rightly mentioned. Last quarter it was 12, slightly more than 12. So we will be operating in the same range. 9 to 11 rupees per SCM should be the targeted one. And if everything is fine and the volumes also grows, we can have a slightly higher than that, maybe 12 rupees or so.
Where do you see volume growth coming in from, sir?
Volume growth was subdued this quarter, slightly lesser but if you see kg to kg from Q1 of last financial year versus this financial year, it was slightly better, maybe 3-4% better than the last Q1 of last financial year. The reason was that the specific energy corrections was slightly different. So on SCM, MMSCMD, it was slightly lower than the Q1 of the last financial year. Now, going forward, we will be eyeing the commercial vehicles and also the buses and other traffic which consumes more bulk of CNG. And CNG is a segment which gives us almost 70% of the volumes. And the increment can come mostly from CNG, although we are very aggressive with PNG and INC also. The other segment is industry and commercial, where we have signed around 1 lakh SCMD of customers, which will be, the pipeline connectivity to these customers in Raigad GA will be completed during this quarter itself. So we expect that the volume growth to come from IMC segment also, besides CNG.
Sir, conversions of vehicles have been on a slower pace. What could be done to increase the conversion? And when we talk about conversion, commercial vehicles have been even slower. You said that the focus would be on commercial vehicles going forward. How do you plan to push it? You mentioned in initial statement that you're going to look at some schemes. What kind of schemes are you looking at?
See, it will be publicly announced when it is done. Right now, we are thinking about earlier also. Currently, one scheme is going about the differential of delta between CNG vehicle and diesel vehicle or petrol vehicle is provided some benefit in that terms, and also sometimes some CNG coupons are provided to take care for the CNG, which will be refilled during the 6 months time or 1 year time. So we are working on it. We are talking to the OEMs also that what will be the more effective scheme, and once it is done, it will be launched to all the public in large.
Sir, do you see a competition coming from e-buses? Because yesterday the government announced e-bus program, which was to the tune of 57,000 odd crores, which basically means that all the state utility vehicles over a period of time would get converted into e-buses. Will that be a big challenge for you going forward?
See, electric buses will be a challenge, but it will take some time actually. If you see Best also and others, MSRTC and other state transport companies, they have placed an order for electric vehicles, but there were some issues related to the supply of EVs. Plus, the upfront cost of electric vehicles is very high as compared to CNG. The third is the infrastructure creation which is required. The fourth is that you need some time for EVs to charge. In CNG, you can refill it very quickly, whereas EVs will be required to be stationed at one point, maybe during the night time, all the buses will be there to charge, and during daytime, they can run because during daytime, charging will be a challenge. So, Mumbai, especially, is constrained with the space. And considering that, if we have to have equal number of buses on road during the daytime, the number of fleets will be much higher. And on top of it, there are issues related to the supply of electric buses from the suppliers which are currently being imported from other countries. And there are other issues related to electric vehicles also. And one more thing I would like to add is that around 70% of coal based generation is coming through the grid. So overall basis, the carbon footprint of CNG is still comparable or much better than, slightly better than the electric vehicles carbon footprint.
Because many of the power companies have already announced their net zero plan, and many of them are converting their entire coal-based power plants over the next 15 years to renewable energy as well. So, in that sense, or I'm talking about long-term perspective, because it's not going to happen overnight or in the next 3 to 6 months.
That's right.
But over a period of couple of years, you'll see this slow transition and market share of e-buses going up, and that would be a big challenge for you. And do you see the delta, which now which is in favor of CNG buses compared to petrol or diesel? There you have face a challenge of delta coming in, because electric vehicles and will have a better delta as compared to CNG.
See, we don't see it as a complete challenge. We also see it as an opportunity. If you see, if you talk about the highway connectivity, the highways are getting better. The CGD infrastructure along the highways are also getting much better. So if you talk about the long haul, electric vehicles charging is still an issue. The one charge cannot give you more than 100 kilometers, 120 kilometers. And if we talk about the long haul trucks and commercial vehicles, the only alternate to diesel would be CNG or LNG. So there also we think that more models are coming in from OEM side on CNG side, and also LNG. We are expecting that that volume will also pick up because one LNG fill can take you around 800 kilometers. So as more infrastructure is created for LNG also, we expect some of the uh, volume growth can come from LNG and CNG segment. Maybe if, although the city is also not exhausted because private vehicles are there, commercial vehicles are there. So there will be a space for all the vehicles put together. It is not that only one type of vehicles will be taking the whole pie and the others will be moved out from the market. So it will happen in a gradual manner. By that time, we will also reassess our strategy and work on it.
Sir, what is the kind of capex that you're planning for FY24?
In this current fiscal, we are thinking about 700 to 800 CR capex, around 800 CR, we can say.
Where is it going to be put on?
Mostly 50% or slightly more than that comes to the DPNG segment. Others goes to CNG, petrol, CNG stations which we are setting up. Last year we have set up 25. This year we are planning to go up to 50 stations, new stations this year. Besides revamping of the stations, DPNG infrastructure, then there is operational capex and other capex related to miscellaneous jobs which is incurred.
Sir, Mike, you have entered into two MOUs, one with BMC for biogas. Give us a detail of how you plan to, leverage that going forward, because it's an emerging area, and not many have entered into that area. So, give us a sense of what kind of opportunity do you see in that area?
See, it's a broader subject. The compressed biogas or the biogas plants are not a new technology now. It is established in Europe and now in India also. Few of the plants are running very successfully. One, that it is having an ESG environmental impact also to reduce our carbon footprint. That is one. Other is that purely on economic terms also it makes sense. We have signed an MOU with BMC to supply the waste, solid food waste, which is wet waste primarily, not solid municipal waste, but it is in the wet, which is organic waste. And they are providing us a land in Deonar, which is a dump site near the Mumbai. If you go to near Mankhurd, if we can say. So purely on economic terms, the scheme has been launched by Government of India called Satat, wherein the prices of offtake of CNGs are assured by the CGD company. In our case, we ourselves will be taking the CNG. Either we will put it into the piped natural gas or in the CNG segment. So we expect on economic terms also it will make sense to put up this plant and run it successfully.
Is there room for more such pilots coming up? Because every city has that kind of waste dumps, not just Mumbai. Neon is one of the largest waste dumps which you're talking about. So, is there opportunity in many other cities for you to look at these kind of pilot projects and look at biogas, compressed biogas as one of the options?
We are not currently looking outside Mumbai. Currently, we are focused on this plant because this is going to be a big plant, maybe one of the largest in Asia also. If we put up 1,000 tons per day of handling facilities. There are three, four plants which are running successfully. One is in Goa by SCF, one is in Indore by Noble Exchange, one is in Indore, Pune also by Noble Exchange, sorry. In Indore it is Ever Enviro. In Chennai it is one more plant is there. So the technology is there. Besides IOCL, GAIL and other OMCs are also putting up new plants, Adani and other entrepreneurs. So all of them are seeing this business to be one which is purely viable on economic terms also. That's why all of these plants are coming up, besides the support which Government of India is giving, and also it's a menace, the type of solid waste which is being generated, especially in the big cities. So other cities, maybe the amount of waste is not sufficient to justify a bigger plant. But since it is a modular construction, smaller plants can be put up in each cities. But currently we are not focused on other cities. We will be first completing this project and then we will look forward about other opportunities.
Okay. So my final question, I'm repeating this. What kind of price revision that can we can see on CNG? Uh, Maybe not immediately, but over this financial year.
It depends on several factors, depending on what is the petrol and diesel prices, what are the growth, what are the schemes which we will be able to launch, and what is our cost of procurement. So if all these things stand, again the EBITDA margins which you talked about. So we have to balance between these three, four things and then see how we roll out the prices. So we can't predict anything that such and such is the target price. That is not the case. The target is to get some growth numbers, to see the momentum is again taken off for conversion. And in that, we will be trying to get some targeted schemes to see that happen.
What kind of EBITDA margins are you comfortable with?
EBITDA margins, as I mentioned, it is 9 to 11 rupees around that range.
Okay, that's EBITDA per SCM, but on a holistic company level, EBITDA margins, will you be looking at that margin as well, or it's only 9 to 12 rupees which you're looking at?
See, ultimately, the correct number to look at is EBITDA per SCM because that takes into account all other things. Otherwise, in absolute terms, our revenue, like if you compare Q1 versus Q1, the revenue was same, but the profits have considerably increased. So, better thing to talk about because these are moving in tandem. The cost of procurement, the pricing at which we are selling, the revenues. So EBITDA per SCM is the correct, maybe the correct factor to look in for the CGD companies.
And what would the nominal growth, volume growth target that you would be looking at?
Volume growth, we have been traditionally achieving 5 to 7%, 5 to 6%. Maybe this year, although first quarter has gone by, but we will be keeping it in our focus for next three quarters. And we expect that 5 to 6% or around 7% we should be able to achieve by the end of this financial year.
Mr. Singhal, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you for joining us on BP Prime.
Thank you so much. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.